Hello, this is Dr. Cody Strodtman from Nature Cures Clinic, and today I want to talk about circadian rhythm and how it relates to our microflora. Now, first things that we need to get some definitions around is what is circadian rhythm? So essentially it's the rhythms of life, and one way to understand this is to look at the rhythms of Earth because we have those rhythms within us. So if we can understand that, we will understand our rhythms as well. So let's take a look at the sun. So the sun, the characteristics of that is increased warmth, increased light, increased overall activity, right? And so within us, when the sun comes up, our cortisol, hormone within us, you could associate that to the sun hormone. It will wake us up. It will increase our activity, help out with increase in temperature, right? So the flip side of that would be when the sun goes down, moon comes up, light goes down, darkness is associated with decrease in temperature and overall rest. And so what that means for us is our melatonin is going to go up, cortisol is going to go down. That melatonin is also a sleep hormone, so that's going to be very, very important for that overall rest. So these are the rhythms that we're going to be talking about in relation to the gut, because the rhythms will also be in the gut as well. Different proportions of bacteria will go up and down based on these rhythms. Another quick note, another way to look at it is a conductor, right? So imagine a conductor with, say, a trimmer orchestrating or trying to get the symphony in sync. So if he's got a trimmer, he's going to be going all over the place. You're going to get squawks and squeals, and it's just going to sound awful. However, if you get a steady-handed guy up there or girl who knows what they're doing, it's going to become a masterpiece because everybody's working together, and that's what we want. So we got that out of the way. Let's touch on what factors encompass the circadian rhythm and how that relates to the microbiome. So overall, we're looking at ratios, we're looking at rhythms, so we're looking at the light-dark rhythms and ratios, particularly timing. We're also looking at the wake and rest ratios, and then also what we eat, and more importantly, or if just as important, when we eat. So what and when. So those are the factors. So how do they relate to the microbiome? First off, the microbiome is huge. It's got 10 to the 14 microorganisms. That's 10 with 14 zeros. And just to give you a picture of the overall mass, that's around 2 to 4 pounds. 2 to 4 pounds, it's huge. And put that in perspective, the brain is 3 pounds. So that old adage of the gut being the second brain is not far off, biomass speaking. So let's go ahead and dive in here. So how does circadian rhythm affect the gut microbiome? Well, it's going just share some general studies. So a rat study was conducted in which they gave an antibiotic to a rat, and it completely disturbed the gut microbiome there, and it caused disruptions in sleep, more specifically slow wave sleep. And I understand this is a mouse study, but we can see some correlations there. And slow wave sleep is associated to overall rest, rejuvenation, so it's very, very important, and sleep is a general characteristic of our overall circadian rhythm. So when circadian rhythms are disrupted, they've done studies that show the barrier, the gut micro wall is disrupted. This is also known as leaky gut, which will increase inflammation overall and increase our susceptibility to certain diseases. So we can think of that as, say, jet lag, night shift work. All these are going to have disruptions in circadian rhythm, and it's going to change our microflora. So in those circumstances where you have disrupted sleep, it's been shown that the particular bacterium firmicutes will increase in population, and that particular bacterium has been associated with obesity, increase inflammation, and then also various pathologies, increasing the risk of pathologies. So just affecting our sleep will have a drastic effect on our microbiome, and then I hopefully shared just affecting our microbiome, say with antibiotics and other things that alter the natural rhythm, will have an effect on us. So it's a two-way street. Some other things to note is vitamin D. Now we get this from light, that day component where we're having increase in temperatures and overall activity. And what that does in the gut is increases our mucosa. So that is a protective mechanism, but also when there's sugar and food that's not around that our bacteria utilize as fuel, the that's shifted away and the mucosa gets utilized instead. So it's overall beneficial, and you could think of it as more of a prebiotic because it's helping out in those fasted states when you're not having food. And also of note, I just wanted to touch on that in sleep, in that dark phase, that's when our immune system is highest. That's when we're restoring, rejuvenating. That's why it's so important to get everything on board and on point, because if not, we're going to have problems. And then also the different ratios of bacterial byproducts get presented. So let's break that down. What does that look like? So when we eat, we have plenty of sugar, and that's going to affect what ratio of bacteria goes up. And in that particular group, we're going to generate certain short chain fatty acids, is what they're called, and that helps us with overall energy. And that's going to be a different short-term fatty acid, predominantly in that group, butyrate. But then also when we shift to that different ratio where it's more incomplete sugars and proteins, that is a different bacterial population, which is more associated with acetate. And then also when we move food away completely into a fasted state, that's going to generate propionate. So we can just see how these different ratios of bacteria will produce different substances in our body, and that's going to affect us overall. So I hope this was a informative lecture, so to speak, or talk on circadian rhythm and how it affects gut health. More specifics will be, or more details will be given along the way in the future. So I hope you're having a good day, and thanks for watching.